everybody. Happy Friday evening, July 22nd, 2022. I am your only host tonight, Mike Barrera. If you're wondering where the hell is Dave or Jose or anybody else to help Mike, well, tonight Dave was tied up with work with his local soccer club. Jose is doing super dad stuff with his second baby that just arrived. So congratulations, Jose. So I was like, you know what? I had a long work week. I can't not talk about the Union this week. I have to get it out of my system. I just need to talk about it to somebody who's watching tonight. So you'll be with me tonight. Adam, thanks for saying hello. I appreciate you always chiming in every single week. So hopefully you enjoy the show. But again, tonight I am solo, but just because I'm by myself doesn't mean I don't have a lot to talk about the Union. The first place in the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia Union. First and foremost, it's been a busy week. If you've been watching the Union over these past 3 games, you know they blew out DC United. We talked about it last week on the Saturday night show. They went to Miami, took care of business in Miami, and then at home in Stuart Finley's last game as a Union member, they took care of New England Revolution in a come from behind win. So before I get too far ahead myself, first and foremost, Stuart Finley. As you guys know, he was sent out to Oxford United for a 4-year deal with an undisclosed fee. Jim Curtin's spoken very highly of him over the past couple of press conferences, and on top of that, Jack Elliott had a knee sprain over the past 2 games. He was out, but he should be back fully healthy, ready to go this Saturday against Orlando. I think Matt DeGeorge had mentioned that he had seen him with a knee bracer wrapped around his knee, but looks like he's good to go, and he'll be back full time for the Union starting Saturday. Now, of course, with Stuart Finley gone, that does mean Brendan Craig is probably the next man up. As you guys know from his youth national performance, Brendan Craig played pretty well down in the CONCACAF championship, which they won. Okay, so congratulations to them. But he's the next man up, and he's young and in the MLS unproven. But it's his turn now to take that backup role that Stuart Finley did so well. And it's funny. Even though Stuart didn't see a lot of time for the Union, he is so beloved by this fan base. And it almost seems like people are more upset about him leaving than Sergio. And Sergio had a longer tenure in here and had more contribution to the team than Stuart Finley ever did. So it just shows the kind of player he is. And even Jim Curtin said that despite him being kind of out the door, he was a professional. He said, Jack Elliott's down. Let me step up and let me take his place. And he did great. I thought he played actually pretty well. And he almost scored a goal against New England this past weekend. So it was really fun to watch him play. And I wish him nothing but the best in Oxford. But again, discussing what happened this past week, we did have a press conference. Dave Miller was able to cover that press conference this past, I believe it was yesterday, or if not the day before. Really nothing extraordinary that came out of the press conference. As you guys know from the New England match, Ali Bedoya had a yellow card late in that game. Kessler, who, if you remember, kind of had the throwaway out-of-bounds ball a short while ago, Bedoya kind of paid him back and did his own thing, kind of knocked the ball out from Kessler's hands. A little, payback right there. But unfortunately for the captain, that was his yellow card that accrued into a suspension for this coming match. So he will be out against Orlando. Furthermore, as I mentioned before, Jack Elliott is back to normal. Hopefully, his knee holds up okay, and he should be back to his old Jack Elliott self. But besides that, the Union had themselves a good week, like I mentioned. I know on the 7-0 victory last Friday, it was chaos. Everybody was just freaking out. Oh my gosh, what an unbelievable performance. But the problem was that Miami game. If you guys remember the match against NYCFC, the hype was really extra real that day. They came from behind, or they had that last minute goal to win the game against NYCFC, but then they go to Chicago. They throw a dud against Chicago, and then against Columbus, even though they managed to salvage a point, it wasn't the best performance. Really, Andre Blake kind of saved them in that evening. So you were worried that after this humongous historic performance against DC United, you would go to Miami, a team you struggled with recently, and lose or draw or whatever it might be. And again, I mentioned Miami had beaten us at home last year. We had that match against them earlier this season where we ended up pulling the home draw off. So it really hasn't been a good slate of games against Miami. But even though it wasn't a stellar performance, I think Jim can agree that it was a comfortable win overall. We had the early penalty kick for Daniel Gazdag. I think it was like 26 minute. Kind of got the Union rolling in the right direction. The whole match, we're looking for that next goal. Are they going to be able to score another goal to kind of seal the deal here? Sure enough, Corey Burke finally gets off that cold streak. I know he was left off the Jamaican team, so it's kind of brought in that new energy, and he's been playing a lot better lately, in my opinion at least. And he got that well-deserved goal against Miami, made it 2-1. I know Higuain had the screamer against Blake, but he's a talented player. You expect that kind of quality sometimes from him, but you still pulled off a 2-1 win against Miami. Great. You didn't have that letdown match, but now you come home against New England. Your third match in what, 8.5, 9 days. You're tired. You got fresh, old, tired legs. You need to keep the team fresh. So what does Jim Curtin do? He changes the formation. He does a 4-2-3-1 with Julian Carranza up top. He put Jack McGlynn in the back with Jose, and of course, like I said, Stuart Finley played in place of Jack Elliott, and they played. I thought they played very well. I thought for a majority of the match they were the better squad. I know New England had the goal from Bo, which was just an incredible goal by him. Again, kind of showing you how it takes a goal like the Bo goal or the Higuain goal to really beat this team. But I thought the Union played pretty solid for most of the match. And the new formation, I thought in particular, it really benefited Jack McGlynn. If you did not watch the Jack McGlynn performance against New England, you please have to go back. I think the Union posted like a short reel about his passes that day. He played extraordinary. And a lot of times people say, well, why doesn't Jack McGlynn start over Leon Flock? Leon Flock is a great defender. He's not the best offensive production, which is fair. But the problem is you can say the same thing about Jack McGlynn, but the opposite way. Jack McGlynn could be the best left-footed midfielder we've ever had, because it is just extraordinary talent he has for the age of 19. Defensively, he is not the same player as Leon Flock, which again goes back to Jamiro Montero, why he was so important, because he could be a high motor player on defense, like we saw from Leon Flock, but he could have the creativity to be on the left side with Kai Wagner. So what this 4-2-3-1 formation did was allow Jack to have that more offensive freedom. You had Jose back there to help you. Leon Flock was in front of you, who could definitely cover if Kai Wagner was too high up the pitch or if McGlynn was high up the pitch. So you had a great kind of formation for McGlynn's skill set, and I thought he played, as I said, extraordinary. In particular, on the goal from Daniel Gazdag, which was the penalty kick, McGlynn sends a great pass to Bedoya. Bedoya's header is able to get to Daniel in the box, and then Daniel kind of not sells it, but he gets shoved pretty well, and he convinces the ref that it's an easy penalty call, and boom, it's 2-1 Union within a matter of minutes. So I thought McGlynn was extraordinary. Now, for this weekend, as I mentioned before, Bedoya is out. Now, Jack is obviously a left-footed player. I don't expect him to play on the right side in place of Bedoya. I don't know if maybe Curtin also changed the formation a bit. I doubt it. Most likely we see Quinn Sullivan to the right. I don't know what's going to happen, because Curtin has also played around with Mabizo further up the field. I don't know if he would put him on that right side and have him and Nathan Harriel work together, because he has talked highly about having two right backs that can play at a high level. So I'm very curious to see how Jim handles this absence of Bedoya. I personally would like to see Quinn out there. I wouldn't be surprised if Paxton also makes an appearance, but I think Quinn might be the replacement for Bedoya, since we've seen that before in the past. So I'm excited to see what they do. But in the most important thing for me is the fact that even though they're going to Orlando has come into this game with not as much rest as the Union. Now, the Orlando played last Sunday against Atlanta. They drew 1-1. On Wednesday, they had that friendly against Arsenal. We saw a bunch of teams having these friendlies. Miami had one as well. They got basically spanked around by, I forget who it was. But they played against Arsenal, 3-1 loss against them. Again, they played on Sunday against Atlanta. So they've had a busy week. Maybe they won't be as fresh this coming Saturday against the Union, but the Union have now put themselves in position to be in that second or third spot for the Supporter Shield. They're putting themselves in a position where they're further away from that red line of the playoff line, and hopefully trying to secure that first place spot with more consistency rather, because as you've seen from NYCFC, they've managed to come up there and take first place and be right neck and neck. Now, yes, Castellanos is en route to be leaving, which is great for us. We're all happy to hear it, but they're still a dangerous team. They still have a ton of money on that payroll, and I could very well expect them, or I should expect them to be in the top three conversation in the Eastern Conference over the next several weeks. So it's a tough match going on the road. The Union have played fine on the road. They've pulled off some wins already on the road, as you saw them against Miami. They've just been playing better. More importantly, the offense is producing at a higher level. Mika Ua and Julian Carranza are finally building that chemistry together, and the team as a whole seems to be gelling in at the right time as they're dealing with this current stretch of games. And also, I have to tip my hat to Jim Curtin, and because I know a lot of people on here, on Twitter, on Facebook, Reddit, wherever you want to go to for Union news, they've been very critical of Jim Curtin. And I think you have to commend him for his performance against New England. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. Again, you started in that 4-2-3-1. New formation, players fit beautifully in it. I know Paxson wasn't as involved, but if you listen to a podcast that was released today from MLS Gone Wild, Paxson was interviewed on that, I guess this past week. I believe yesterday it was. And he mentioned that he did not get a lot of touches against New England. But Curtin had kind of told him, you are going to play a more defensive minded performance tonight, which is what Paxton alluded to, which is why he did not get as many touches as he typically does. So for those who might have thought, hey, Paxton, where the hell is he today? That might have been the reason why. Maybe he was playing more back on defense rather than the final third, which is why he had such a few touches that evening. But again, back to Jim Curtin. So you go down 1-0. You need to kind of bring the offense to life. Curtin brings Mika Uwan, puts him at the top with Julian, and he also brings Ali in for Pax on the right side. And instead of staying in that 4-2-3-1, he switches it into the diamond. And if I remember correctly as well, he replaced Nathan Harriel with Olivier as well. So he really went for it offensively. He wanted to push it for that goal, and sure enough, they got the 2 goals within a matter of minutes. But say what you want about Curtin in the past. I've said it as well. His substitutions are sometimes too late. They're sometimes predictable. You would see those 2 striker changes, right? You'd have Mikael and Julian come out, and you'd have Santos and Burke come in, and then maybe McGlynn would replace Flock, and it was just over and over and over. But with the new formation that came out of nowhere, with these substitutions that came at the right time with the right players, and then changing the formation accordingly, I thought Curtin was a huge reason why this team was able to pull off the win and seal up 9 points in 3 games, which after you saw a whole month of May where they could not pull out a win and you constantly kept drawing so many points lost at home as well, to have 9 points in 3 matches. Yes, slightly inferior opponents, sure. DC United, awful. Miami, not that great. Even though you've struggled against them, not a good team. New England Revolution, they've had their ups and downs. So yes, you got 9 points against teams you should have beaten. Fine. But you also should have gotten 3 points at home against Montreal, and you should have beaten the New England Red Bulls when they were home and down a man. So listen, you have to play the opponents in front of you. I've seen somewhere that the schedule for the Union is a little bit easier as the home stretch goes into the playoffs. So that's great for us. Hopefully you're having more of the easier opponent in front of you, but the Union still has to go out there and do their job. And now, more importantly than anything, we're seeing the offense finally put these goals into the back of the net. You had 7 goals against DC. You had 2 goals against Miami. You had 2 goals against New England. Yes, were 2 of those penalty kicks? Sure. Doesn't matter. You still have to get there. You still have to put yourself in place to score. And we have been dying for this team to finally get 2 goals a game on a consistent basis. And we're seeing that again over this past week. So again, Orlando tomorrow night, 7:30. I will be off tomorrow night, so Dave Miller will be on the call. I believe he'll also cover the press conference as long as it's not too late for him out in England. So that'll be 7:30 p.m. You can catch Dave Miller at Dave GFC Miller on Twitter. You can catch AAT Sports Network at AAT Sports _ on Twitter as well. They have Facebook, etc. Um, thank you. Yes, the chair is looking very comfy. This is my work chair, so I know it's very official and big, and it's extremely comfortable because I'm in this chair far more than I want to be. I work way too much. I actually have to work after this as well. So, yeah, I know it's trust me, I've used this as much as possible. I've milked every penny out of this purchase. Actually, my parents got it for me, so thank you guys. But anyway, so tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m., the Union look to pull off 4 straight wins at Orlando, and then next week, hopefully, Dave and I are back for another show. I don't know if he's out or not, but if he is, I'll try to bring on Jose or another guest. I know this week was kind of short notice; I couldn't get another guest, but I think I survived solo for now. So before I wrap up this very quick 15-minute show about the Union, let me read off my sponsors here. So that way our site can get paid, of course, right? Manscaped, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. We have OddsJam, the #1 software platform for sportsbook bandits. They use an arbitrage calculator and more, so you never lose a bet again. Sign up today at oddsjam.com. Statement Games, at statementgames.com is a fun new way to fantasy sports and entertainment. You can win gift cards and prizes completely free to sign up at statementgames.com. Last but not least, Vinny's Pizza in a restaurant in Allentown, Pennsylvania. They're serving up Italian cuisine, including pizza, pasta, burgers, sandwiches, and more, available for pickup or delivery. Order today at vinny'spizza.pa.com. And of course, the AAT Sports Network.com/shop for all of your AAT Sports Network gear. Across the pitch, Johnny has some really neat stuff and really big plans for the Eagles come the football season. I already know a few hidden secrets in there that he's putting out there. So please stay tuned for that. We may even have a pretty cool guest that they're having at a local bar in Allentown. So please stay tuned. I'm only going to tease it with that. I got one more comment here. We have, oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. I've tried my best tonight on a short week, so I appreciate that. But again, everyone, have a great night. Just a quick show tonight, and go Union.